So you basically dominated every style of climbing out there, from big wall, sport, boulder, trad, some pretty heady trad, but you haven't taken on free soloing. And why is that?
I don't want to take unnecessary risk. So I think for sure I climb some routes that are objectively dangerous. I would say the most dangerous routes that I've done in my life are on the Czech Sandstone. Maybe some of you have seen the video that we did together with Pete Whittaker and Will Bosey.
Yeah,
Yes,
terrifying.
there are some definitely very dangerous sections. The difference for me is that if you free solo, every single second you are in fatal danger. If you are climbing on the Czech Sandstone, it's maybe just a few seconds that where you shouldn't fall, but for the rest of the route you are fine. So the probability of falling off to your death is much lower.
So even if it's a rated R trad climb that's run out and the placements aren't good, and I had a conversation with Dave McLeod about this as well, it's just there's still the opportunity that a piece will catch you, even if it's a pretty junky placement.
Yeah, but as I started climbing, I don't really have so much experience in trad, and in terms of like placing the gear, I have more experience in trad climbing, which feels more like sport climbing. If, for example, Indian Creek, I didn't have any fear in Indian Creek. I felt like all the routes that I did is like wherever you want to place the gear was there. But more kind of UK sketchy trad climbing, most of it looks like an unnecessary danger for me. Like the climbing looks relatively easy, just very sketchy, and I think most probably if you top rope it, it feels okay, and it's then you just head point it and then give it a try, almost as if it was a free solo. So tread climbing, I'm much more attracted if it is a route that it's hard, but you can still and go and try to go for an onside, and you know that most likely you'll be fine. Even though you might be falling 20, 25 meters, those are the routes that are really attractive for me. And those also are also the routes that I did since I was a little kid. Even at our sport crag, which is pretty run out, or on the Czech sandstone where you have a bolts, but they are really far apart. And maybe like the video that we shot together with Pete Whittaker, that's like the most traditional place. But there are other places which are more. The local climbers would say that they are sport climbing, but they are not, obviously. There are some routes which in the red they would have 20 bolts. In that crag, they might have like five, and they're considered
Oh god.
overbolted. For me, growing up there, it's completely fine. But I can imagine that if you all the only thing that you know is like sport climbing or sport climbing in a proper sport climbing area, it's like really terrifying. But I think
Right.
I'm actually really glad that I was born in Czech Republic, where I had a lot of approach to climbs like this. And I think ultimately, I don't know, climbing in Yosemite, it helped me so much to
Well,
like climb 5 meters above the last piece and be completely fine about it. And ultimately, also, I don't know, sport climbing because I don't mind skipping the quick draws if I think it's safe. It
yeah.
just literally makes no influence on me.
Do you, when you look back on your climbing career here, is there a moment that stands out as the most scared you've been on a route? All right, y'all, just a quick 30-second shout out here for today's sponsor, which is the Crimped app. And I'm telling you, I love Crimped. Long before there was a YouTube channel, I was using Crimped to program my training because it takes the guesswork out of things. We're too busy to worry about this stuff. Open up Crimped. You can either load in a program like a sport plan or a boulder plan, or you can choose from the hundreds of exercises and protocols that they have in there to figure out your week. And at the end of each day and at the end of each week, you get to check them off. You know what's happening. You know what's coming. It will level up your training. I love it so much. Check it out. Hit that link. You can download it for free. All right, let's get back to the interview.
Not like one particular. Like I had one tread climbing experience in Norway, which looking back, I thought like, no, I shouldn't have done it. That is more like I think some experiences is that some people had when they wanted to free solo something, they did it, but it just felt wrong. So I think I was like 17, and it was like my second tread climb ever. It was first ascent. I had literally no idea how to place cams and nuts, and I was there belaying by other friends that were in the same situation. So I would say that was the one. I eventually did it, but I spent like 1 hour on the route, got like ultimately pumped, and it wasn't good experience.
Yeah, yeah. Looking back, did you recognize like the placements weren't good, or was it while you were on the route itself you knew you were in trouble?
Probably they were not good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, you mentioned Yosemite there, and one of your most impressive accomplishments on a long list of impressive accomplishments is the Dawn Wall, and leading every pitch of that, you did it in 8 days. I'm curious if you have. I'd love to hear about that experience, but I'm also curious if you've got plans or dreams to put up cutting edge big walls like the Dawn Wall. Obviously, Tommy and Kevin worked for many, many years on that. Tommy and then bringing Kevin into the process is a lot of work to do something like that. But with as many cutting edge first ascents that you have on sport, are big walls in your sights as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe in a few years. And I would like to start more with like a shorter multi pitches, basically bringing maybe 9A plus, 9Bs up to the bigger walls, maybe 6-10 pitches in the Alps. But I think it's really important for me to like open these routes ground up with like at least some runouts and do it in a good style, not like make it a sport climb on a bigger wall. And then later on, yes, I can imagine myself climbing in some more serious environment. Thinking of Yosemite, it would be cool to establish something on El Cab, but what I don't really like is that it's so regulated, and basically in almost all the sections of the El Cab there are some A lines already, and if we are talking about the purity of style that you could like climb the Dawn Wall, for sure you could climb in much better way if you were allowed to bolt in some of the 8 climbing pitches. So for example, like the way that most of the like laybacking pitches lower down, which are usually around 14A, 13D, that they are mostly just fixed beaks that are just left there, which to me, if you live them, it's not like the most aesthetical thing. And it would be just so much bolder if like instead of having 15 fixed beaks on 40-meter pitch, you would have like just 4 bolts and that's it.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
would be
it's
just so badass, but you just can't do it.
no,
Even
and
though even for the experience of 8 climbers, it would be much better, you know? Because all the fixed 8 gear wouldn't be there, and you could always have an option, okay, just don't clip that bolt.